Hey friends, today I want to talk to you about taking a CEO day for your business. And if you've never heard of this concept before, this is going to blow your mind. And I think, especially right now, the online space is noisy. There's lots going on in the world. It's more important than ever to take time outside of the day-to-day work in our business to think strategically about our business. And yet, it's also the most challenging than it's ever been to really make that time, right? Just practically, many of you are still in lockdown or it's hard to get out. And so, just practically, it's hard to actually go to a coffee shop or go to a hotel. So, I'm going to talk to you today about creative ways to do this. But really, I hope what you take away from this is the importance of taking a CEO day in your business. And I'm going to break down exactly what I do for my CEO days. And I hope this is just so helpful to you. Okay, so there's basically like three main components that I do in my CEO day. So I'm going to run you through those three components. But the most important thing, first things first, is that you actually block off a CEO day on your calendar, right? This is never going to happen unless you actually go to the future and you take a day and you block it off, or else what's going to happen is going to fill with work and with client calls, right? And my suggestion to you is if you work 10 hours or less in your business every week, which is definitely what I did at the start of my business, I would suggest you block off at least a half day. Right? If you work more like 20 hours, 30 hours like I do, or more than that, I suggest you block off a full day for thinking and strategizing, right? A full 6 hours. And you can do these once a month, but at minimum, I want you to do it once a quarter. So pause this right now and go to your calendar for the next year and block off time. Do it, block off a whole day so that no one else can reserve it, but really make that time sacred and don't cancel it. Really honor it as if it were a client session. The beauty of, I actually do CEO time and strategizing like this with my Sell with Heart Mastermind ladies. And the nice thing is, because we're doing it as a group, they can't cancel it, right? But when you do this solo, I know it can be so tempting to cancel it, but don't. At minimum, like, you can move it, but don't cancel it. So make sure that when you do this, I like to, if at all possible, get out of the house. If you can't, try to go in another room away from your work computer. But if at all possible, book a hotel, book an Airbnb, book something, ask a friend if you can crash in their guest bedroom, right? But get out of your house. I've actually given this assignment to several of my clients in the last few months. Is a lot of times, if you're feeling, especially if you are someone, maybe you don't have kids or you don't have a lot of commitments and you have a lot of time in your business to work, it can be powerful to actually get out of your house to work, to have that dedicated separation in time. Okay, so for this CEO day, you're going to block off, which, by the way, I first heard about this from Natalie Ekdahl, is the one who introduced me to CEO days. So credit to her for introducing me to this powerful concept. Okay, so you're going to block it off. Check. Did you block it off? Now, these are the three main things I do on a CEO day. But before I dive into that, I just want to say, like, the overarching is I just like, I want to have fun. Right. And so ideally, you're like treating yourself to a nice lunch, right? You're getting yourself into a positive mindset because you're doing some bigger picture strategy and thinking, right? You're thinking outside of the box. We want to be high vibe. And the way not to do that is to cram your CEO day with like a bunch of like nitty gritty to dos, right? Because this is not the time to like catch up on your email inbox, to like, it's not the tedious work time, right? It's the time to like step back and zoom out. Every once in a while on a CEO day, I will work on a bigger picture project, like knock out some time for a book or an upcoming course, knock out some videos, right? But in general, we want to make this time spacious. And so I'm going to suggest these three things, but I don't want you to overplan it because I also want you to have fun. Maybe you want to take a nap on your CEO day, right? Again, maybe you want to order a nice dinner, right? But the idea is that you are giving yourself a break, you're rewarding yourself, and it should feel a little bit like a vacation, right? Like a work vacation. Okay, so here's the three things: CEO assessment, client map, and desire dump are the three things. I'm going to talk about them briefly, but I'm also going to link you to where you can learn more about each of these in depth, because I talk about all three of these concepts in depth. Okay, let's talk about the first one. The first one is a CEO assessment. I actually created this assessment from scratch about 3 years ago. And I created it for my clients as a way to self-coach. And so I asked you some really strategic questions. So at the start, there's a little chart, and you have to reflect on 10 things that are working and a few things that are not working in your business too. And usually my clients are like, 10 things? Nothing in my business is working right now. I can't, like, it's so easy to see what's not working, but I really want you to force yourself to pause. Take as long as you need to come up with 10 things that are working, projects completed, lessons learned, milestones. And if you do the daily check-in that I teach, this is actually really easy, because let's say you're doing a quarterly CEO day. You can look back on the check-ins and look at your wins. I love doing that. And kind of seeing, like, over the last quarter, what's actually working, right? Because at the end of the day, yes, we want to improve our problems, but we want to double down on what actually is working for us in our business. The other side of that chart is what's not working. I'll link to the Google Doc too, so you can make a copy of the CEO assessment and do it on your next CEO day. But getting clear on, okay, but actually, I'm all for positive mindset, but we also do need to address what's not working. What is the problem? Like, what's the actual thing, right? And I have like little prompts for you on the CEO assessment too. And one of them is, okay, so like, of all the things that are not working, circle the one that's the biggest domino, right? You guys know I'm a big fan of a brain dump, because I think the online space is like too allergic to negativity. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm the most positive, grateful person I know. I do gratitudes every day, right? But at the end of the day, I often have to give my clients permission to, like, it's also okay to brain dump. It's also okay. Like, we don't want to get stuck in that muck, but sometimes we need to like clear it out to move forward. What's something you're frustrated about it? What's weighing on your mind? What are to-dos, right? A lot of times that venting gives you and your coach clarity on what you can do to actually move past it and move forward, instead of like, oh, I shouldn't complain, or oh, I shouldn't be negative, or any of that, right? So number 3 is what's weighing on your mind. And then essentially I coach you through creating your opportunity, not your biggest problem, your biggest opportunity in the next quarter, right? And then come up with curiosities, right? Using creative thinking. Before you solve that biggest problem, you ask yourself questions about the problem, right? The problem feels really big, but we don't give ourselves a lot of opportunity to get curious around it, right? So let's say your biggest problem was, yeah, and we want to state it in the third person too, not as me, but like your business. So I would say like the heart-centered entrepreneur, right? Let's just say your business has opportunity for breakthrough with getting consistent monthly clients, because you're not getting that right now, right? Some example questions you could ask. Again, we're not answering the questions yet, but we use curiosity to ask, what am I most afraid of if I had clients? What is a fully booked number for me? What do I need to charge for my packages? What are my minimum marketing actions? Is it time to hire more support? Do I prefer selling in launches or evergreen? And I get, like, this is the beauty of a one-on-one coach, right? And why I love working with my clients intimately, because a lot of times you don't even know what questions to ask, right? So I am all for hiring support and a coach that can actually ask you those questions. But I think on your own, it also is powerful to frame and get yourself in the habit of asking yourself and getting curious before we just dive in and solve it, right? And so in this space of the CEO assessment, you ask yourself, what am I curious about? Right. And you get curious. And then you do creative thinking, and then you do action steps. Okay. So that's the CEO assessment. Again, make sure you actually get the Google Doc, because you're going to learn about it more when you, do it. I want you to do it. And here's the secret, you guys. I actually do the CEO assessment on my CEO days, but I also do it in my business when I'm like in a funk. Because often when you're in a funk in your business, you want to like scrap everything or do something drastic or take action that's more based on emotion instead of based on what's actually the problem in your business and problem solving for that. I'm laughing, but it's true, right? And so I really encourage you, if you're in a season where like you're just feeling stuck, don't do anything until you do the CEO assessment. Even if you're not on a CEO day, just fill that baby out. I also have like a little training video linked in there. Okay, so that's one thing that I try to do on every single CEO day, is that assessment to get that bigger picture. And again, it's also a beautiful summary of when I'm doing my daily check-ins of reviewing a recap of all the wins, right? A recap if I see a theme of what's not working. Okay, the second thing I always try to do is my client map, right? I'm going to link to the training series I did on creating your client map. It's a free PDF, but also I offer a one-on-one intensive that is 90 minutes long that walks you through creating your profitable cash flowing client map. So if you need support on this, I would love to support you, maybe even on your CEO day, right? I love kicking off my 6-hour CEO day at the start with a call with my coach. So I'm not just like, number one, so I have accountability to take the CEO day, but number two, so I'm not like spinning out on my CEO day. A lot of times, like we want the space, but then when we have it, we're like, what am I supposed to do? Right. And so on your next CEO day in the next few months, I would love to do a one-on-one intensive with you so that for the first 90 minutes, you have complete clarity and strategy for that day and for your business in general for that next quarter or 6 months, right? And so this is something that I do with my clients. It's called the client map. And basically it maps out your whole business on one page. And if your business plan does not fit on one page, it's too complicated. I don't care what the online world says, right? That's just the truth, right? I refresh my client map. I try to do it every quarter, but at least a few times a year, and really assessing what's the offer am I selling? Am I feeling aligned with it? What's my content strategy? Am I feeling aligned with it? Where am I getting my traffic and my audience growth from? Is that feeling aligned, right? So again, that client map is a super important part of the CEO day, but if you need support creating that client map, I would say hire support, right? I would love to help you. I have 2 spaces open this fall for one-on-one intensives. I'll link you to that page so you can see what it includes, but basically it's a 90-minute session with me where we strategize, and then a week of email support. And then a few weeks later, I include a bonus 30-minute session just so that we can ask ourselves, like, how is that going, right? The money mindset work that we did, is it sticking? The offer that you created, how did the launch go? Do we need to adjust it? The visibility plan that we set, do we need to tweak it, right? Because I'm all about not just a plan, but actually you taking supported, aligned action so that you can see the results and book more clients. Okay, so client map. I'm going to link the PDF freebie to the client map. Finally, is something that I'm so excited that I get to do with my Sell with Heart ladies in a few weeks. And that is dreaming and visioning and giving your self space for desires, right? And this sounds like a little bit out there, but I'm a big fan of on your CEO day, like doing some strategy, but also giving yourself room to dream, right? So often we don't even know what we want. So how can we create what we want in our business? How can we expect to like lead our team if we don't even know what we're most wanting? So at its essence, what I want you to do is a desire dump, which is just basically a sheet of paper and you asking yourself, what do I want in the next season of my life and my business? I'll say it again. What do I want? What do I want? And if you don't know right away because you're like just surviving, it's okay, but I want you to do the exercise anyway. Okay. And sometimes it takes a minute because we're so used to day-to-day behind the scenes grind. It takes a minute to tap into the new energy of desires, but it's kind of like the chicken and the egg where you have to almost force yourself to go there and say, okay, if I was able to handle all my present, what do I want in the future? And I think for me at the start of my business, I had to really create a lot of safety for myself. Like, it's okay to dream, right? It's okay to want more. And there's a lot that can come up there, including like, is it bad to want more when I already have a lot? Like I already have a lot of success, what about other people that are behind me, right? Is it okay to want more things, right? And let me give you an example. I kind of like go really wide when I brain dump. Like the last time I brain dumped up on this, I think brain dumped up sounds like threw up. I brain dumped. I included like, I want to make lavender Play-Doh with my kids. Like that was something that was kind of like had been on my mind for a little bit. Right. Another thing I wanted was like to double my income the next year. So these can be like little nitty gritty things you've been wanting to do, but haven't gotten around to. Or these can be like really big picture desires, like publishing a book, like selling out your coaching practice, right? And so when you do your desire brain dump, your number one job is to not overly judge the desires as they come out. You don't even have to decide if you're going to do them or not. That comes later, right? Later, you'll prioritize which ones you're actually going to do right now. But at the start, your number one job is to remove your filter so you can just start writing down your desires without double thinking it, right? I hear from my clients all the time, right? My clients that write content or write a book, they say like I'm stuck, but usually I find it's not that they're stuck. It's just that they're judging themselves in between the time when their brain thinks it and when they write it down. So much judgment, so much self-criticalness, right? Like, how dare you desire that? Or do you really even want that? Or what will so-and-so think, right? So just let yourself fully and freely write down all the desires on your heart. And for the first 5 minutes, you might just have to sit there staring at the blank paper, right? You might just have to wait. But what I find is once they start coming, more and more start coming. Maybe you've been wanting to learn Spanish, right? Maybe you've been wanting to launch a podcast, right? Allow yourself, again, I like to do this for my personal and for my business and just see what comes up. Just see what comes up. It might surprise you, right? Especially if you've been in business for a little while. Maybe you've accomplished all your desires and you haven't created new ones, right? You forget to give yourself permission to have new wants and dreams and desires. And I just want to tell you, it's safe to want more. It's safe to dream. It's safe to desire. Okay. And there's a whole process that I walk my clients through with this, but the short of it is having those desires. And then a few of them, I like to just add to my to-do list. Like, I think next Saturday, I'm going to make lavender Play-Doh with my kids. I'm going to add it to my calendar. So some of these things you'll be like, I just need to order those new shoes, right? So some of them you'll just like add to your to-do list or add to your calendar. But for the bigger ones, I like to pick one for my business. I like to pick one for my life. And then I like to create a daily affirmation around it so that I can start to affirm that and start to walk into that and start to call it in, right? Because, the saying goes like, you can have everything you want, but not all at once. And I'm a big believer in that, right? Really prioritizing which one is going to make the cut for this quarter, right? You're going to leave. I like looking back at my desire dump because then maybe the next quarter I can work on a different desire, but really looking at what's that key business desire, what's that key personal desire, and how can you lean into affirming that daily, right? Okay, so those are the three main things I do. And again, I'll link you to all of those. Is a CEO assessment, client map, and desire map. Desire dump, sorry. CEO assessment, client map, desire dump. And again, remember that overarching reminder of like, we want to have fun. We want to have fun on a CEO day. So reserve an Airbnb, right? Or make it enjoyable for yourself. Block these off and you will not be disappointed. Trust me, you will come back to your business lit up, inspired, and way more productive. So I know it's taking time away from your business, but at the end, it's really going to fuel you. Okay. Make sure you reach out to me for a free clarity call if you're interested in doing a one-on-one session with me so that your next CEO day is like off the charts, focused and successful. Would love to brainstorm with you and really help you troubleshoot anything that's holding you back in the season, whether it is money mindset and money blocks as you are growing and scaling your business or planning your launch, creating your group program or course, right? Make sure that you, let me know, and I'm happy to do that. Okay, I'm going to link all the docs. This is going to be like a resource hub for you. I'm excited. Make sure that if you decide to do this, send me a screenshot, either email me or like tag me in your Instagram stories, your CEO day blocked off on your calendar so that I can celebrate with you and hold you accountable to actually doing it, right? But that's your action step. I want you to walk away from this and I want you to block off at least one CEO day, ideally one every month or every quarter, so that you have that time to strategize in your business. And that's where the ease starts coming in. I know it's hard to, start to plan ahead, to start to be proactive when you feel like you're barely keeping your head above water. But again, this is the thing, even if you don't feel like you have time or space, this is the thing you do to start creating space. This is the thing you do to start creating time for your business. Okay, I cannot wait to hear how your CEO day goes.